Once again, I'm asking for a M3GAN versus Chucky movie, but this time, a musical romance. Hey there, Cinephiles. Today I'm reviewing M3GAN 2.0, or M3GAN 2.0. Either way, she's back and better than ever. This movie is far better than the trailers would lead you to believe. However, it is still deeply flawed. To be a truly great campy movie, you have to navigate a real fine line, and this movie both actually does it at times, but then at other times it doesn't quite do it either. It both feels like it knows what it's doing, but it's also very indecisive. For example, with the new genre it's getting into, which is action, I do think it does that pretty well as kind of a campy action rom. However, when it looks back at its horror roots, it just feels so indecisive and really just giving us the fun kills, or at least creative ways to go about those kills, because it is a PG-13 movie when in reality this franchise should be rated R. But since it's PG-13 and it wants to stay being PG-13, I think this should honestly push the envelope of what you can do in a PG-13 movie, especially with the kills and the gore. I just think there's so much room for some really innovative and imaginative stuff that they could do, and there are clearly the ingredients here for it. You do see at points where they actually do some very fun and unique stuff, and it can be some commentary on this whole AI thing. However, as it stands, it just feels like a very smart tween kind of trying to discuss what they know about AI. However, because they don't have too much experience with it, you do feel that lack of knowledge, and it ends up just kind of being this weird middle ground take on AI. And that indecisiveness in the screenplay not only really impacts the themes of the film, but also just the overall fun. With the ideas being presented feeling too big to grapple for those presenting it, I do feel at times that this movie drags for a bit for either stuff that we already can kind of tell the movie's trying to do, as well as just being, yeah, you're trying to be smart, but let's just get back to the fun. And it's weird because you do feel it forcing itself sometimes to be more than it is, but also in other times it's just a fun time. And this movie doesn't necessarily have to have the most groundbreaking commentary on AI. However, when you're using it in such a way and you want to talk about it in a deeper way, and without having the full capacity to do so, I think you should just focus on trying to be more innovative and fun and just give us what we're really here for. With that being said though, M3GAN is still pretty fun, and some of her one-liners are just so great. And even though in here they don't quite top the titanium scene from the first film, there is a very fun moment, and well, that was the most hilarious scene in the entire movie because the audience just went wild during it. Overall, this is an interesting film. It's fun and campy, and it also tries to bite off way more than it can chew in the sense of themes and how it can actually deal with those, which can lead it to be a bit underwhelming, stiff, and just meh at times. And even though this is clearly a mixed bag, I still do lean positive on it, and I think if you go with a group of friends, you're gonna have a blast. Especially if you had fun with the first one. I think this one you're gonna have just as much, if not more fun with. Pay no attention to those trailers or the marketing because it is just not doing this movie justice. And I do hope with the eventual third film that we get, they can figure out a very fun title first of all, but also that they can just get that right balance of fun, campy, horror, comedy, actiony, whatever else they decide to add into it, which should be musical romance, but also push the boundaries and not be so predictable, because this has the ingredients and the potential to be this decade's Scream franchise. If it just kind of tightens up and smartens up, I really do think this could be some great commentary on horror films as a whole, on AI currently, and so many other things, while still being so fundamentally fun. However, as is, it's a fun first two films, and I do think I like this one better than the first, but the legacy isn't going to be quite as long lasting as we may want until they either do the Chucky thing and really just make this a witty and tight script franchise that the third one can be, because also this movie was 2 hours. Did not need to be that long with what they do in here. Not that it necessarily feels too long, but it also just didn't feel like it needed to be this long. I don't know. Again, it's kind of a mixed bag. I give M3GAN 2.0 a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I had a good enough time that I'm going to remember it for a little bit, but it's not going to be towards my favorite films of the entire year. Again, this is a type of movie that you just watch with your friends, you just have a blast with, and you just kind of move on and know that you enjoyed your time just laughing and taking it for what it is. But alright, those are my thoughts on M3GAN 2.0. Be sure to let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. As always, thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Be sure to stay tuned for Rated Films content, and I'll write you later.